I said to Natasha Romanoff, I did it baby, I erased all the bad things, I saved the multiverse with the Infinity Stones. I erased all the evil. I erased Thanos and I'm so tired I don't think I can stay awake anymore. And she said no, don't go to sleep baby. And then Black Panther said hurry, get him on the table, cut his clothes off, and I could feel my life slipping again. And then I felt something pulling me back to life. I felt two familiar hands on my chest. I could feel Natasha's hands on my chest and she was using all her powers to heal me and save me. And then my arm started rapidly healing from the Infinity Stone damage and I started screaming. And then I saw Natasha Romanoff was screaming, trying her best to heal me, and I jumped awake and then I healed Natasha Romanoff quickly. And I said I'm okay baby, I'm fine, you saved me. And then she said oh my god baby, are you okay? And I said yes ma'am. And she started crying and I said everything is fine Natasha Romanoff, I promise. And I said this is the most emotion I've ever seen you show me or anyone else I think. And then I said I need a damn vacation. I actually want to go to sleep now. And then Black Panther scanned my vital signs and he said you seem to be perfectly healthy now, although there's anomalies in your skin and blood now. And then I said I put the Infinity Gauntlet in my secret Dormammu dimension and I said somehow I'm still alive, thanks Natasha, I thought this was a one-way ticket for me. And then she slapped me on the arm and she said don't ever do anything like that again please. And I said baby I am fine, you saved me, you saved my life, I owe you one. Then after that I restored Vision and I gave him back the Mind Stone. And Wanda Maximoff looked at Vision and she said thank you to me. And I said I have done you a favor Wanda Maximoff, and I also made it so Vision is half human and he can procreate and have kids, and I secretly did this so Wanda and Vision can get married and have kids. After that I went back to school and then the events of Spider-Man Far From Home started to happen, but this time Tony Stark gave me the glasses himself and I asked Tony, Mr. Stark, what's this? And he said this is for you kids so you don't nearly kill yourself next time while saving the world. And I said thanks Mr. Stark and he said not problem kid, just don't do anything too risky next time if you can help it. And I said sometimes it can't be helped Mr. Stark. And then me and my classmates all went on a field trip to England and somewhere else in Europe, and I started thinking about marrying the real Agent Maria Hill if she's still alive. And then I looked around in our world but she's not on Earth. Then I looked to outer space on the end, I found the real Maria Hill up in a spaceship and I smirked. And then on one side of the moon I also saw the Inhumans, I even saw Black Bolt on the moon with the Inhumans. And meanwhile Mysterio was doing a fake battle with his so-called elementals. And then just like the canon everything unfolded nearly the same way, except there was no Infinity War problems because I killed Thanos and nearly died. And now instead of Tony Stark everyone was now praising the name of Spider-Man, especially Jonah Jameson. He doesn't have anything bad to say about me, he's just spreading nothing but positive media this time. And then after I stopped Quentin Beck he revealed to everyone that I'm Spider-Man, but I didn't let Quentin Beck die, he just told everyone who I am. And even Jonah Jameson said what a terrible person Quentin Beck is, how dare this terrible person reveal Spider-Man's true identity to the world. And then I went and I confronted Quentin Beck in prison and I said you just caused me a lot of trouble and now you have put my family in danger, you're a terrible person. And he said yeah maybe I am, but at least one of your family members or wives will pay for what you did to me. And I recorded every terrible thing Quentin Beck said to me and then I gave it to Jonah Jameson. And then Jonah Jameson said as you can see he's not a hero ladies and gentlemen, but he's a despicable criminal that only cares for himself. And then meanwhile Quentin Beck got upset and threw a tantrum in prison when he saw that I recorded our entire conversation for everyone to hear. And I decided to live with people knowing the truth about me. After that I got paranoid and I decided to give all my family members the perfect golden century serum because I was scared, so scared that I gave my other wives the golden century serum. And right after I gave the perfect golden century serum to She-Hulk I stayed with her in town and I made love to her every day. And I said to her I am worried about this whole thing but I am not doing anything about it because sometimes things don't need to be changed. And then very soon the events of Spider-Man No Way Home began to happen and then I met Green Goblin while on the bridge and I had to save the woman that accepted my admission from MIT. I saved her from Dr. Octopus.